we are doing whatever it takes. It's about giving your all. From the players on the field to the members in the stands. Do whatever it takes. Call 1300 GO Bombers.
Thank you, David, and thank you to the board, and welcome to everybody, Essendon members, Essendon supporters, and welcome to our new players, who I'm going to introduce very shortly. Some very exciting young players and one very exciting older player who you'll get to know very well very shortly. I just want to give a quick summary of last year and then what's ahead of us. It's my belief that we're coming into a very exciting time at the Essendon Football Club, a time that all supporters and members should get behind. We've got some quality players who have been trained very hard over the last 2 years, have been taught to play the game, and yes, they're still young and developing, but as you would have seen in the first half of last year, we are capable of playing some very, very exciting football. As you also saw last year, we're capable of getting some injuries and not playing as well as we would have liked. But that is all part of the development process, and one of the conversations that I've had with David and the board and over the 2 years I've been coaching is their encouragement to me to not die wondering. Don't go easy on them, don't go soft on the players, don't leave anything out in the quest for the ultimate glory, which is a premiership. And those comments are still ringing in my ear, because we're not going to die wondering. We're going to give it everything we've got, and we're going to continue to train these boys harder and better than we ever have, and teach them to play the great game of AFL football. Yes, we made some mistakes last year. We went too hard, to be honest. We went too hard with the young group, and it cost us in the second half of the year. We've learnt from those mistakes, we've put in a slightly different training program, and I think we're better. I think that in the off-season, we went about changing and making ourselves a better club. I think you saw in the free agency period how the club went hard after the best player available, and one of the best players in the competition, and were able to attract Brendan Goddard to come to the Essendon Football Club. And I think that's a big sign of Brendan's belief that this club is once again going to be a fantastic club. We took our players to Boulder, Colorado for an altitude training camp. We've seen other clubs do it, we've wondered whether it's going to be successful, so we sent 10 of our best players over, and mostly our midfielders except for Michael Hurley. And those players have come back with glowing about the success of that camp, and every one of those guys, to a man, is fitter, stronger, and has been prepared better because of that camp. We then took the guys to the Gold Coast as a whole group to introduce the young players, to bring them all and make them feel as one as a group, and that the bonding and the way these guys are blending as a group is again feeling like a successful team. Then the focus of pre-season before Christmas was to build a really solid foundation. We went back to some older ways, some older, more tried and true methods about how to train our players, and already we're seeing some great benefits to that. And then the post-Christmas period will all be about game simulation, game style, getting them ready for our first NAB Cup game in early February, and our first game, the first game of the AFL season in Adelaide on the 22nd of March, which we can't wait for. We can't wait to get on the big stage again and make up for what we saw as a disappointing second half of the year. The most exciting thing about tonight for me, other than the finance report, Paul, which I found very interesting, the naming of our life members, congratulations, is the introduction of our new players. It's always a time, the draft period's always a time I get very excited about, to bring new players in. And this year, free agency was tested in the AFL. And I think everyone agrees that the Essendon Football Club was the big winner out of free agency. And I'd like to introduce the first free agent in AFL, and our first free agent, Brendan Goddard. Welcome, Brendan. Now, most of you have probably respected Brendan, but yelled a few bits of abuse at him, and I'll just read you some of his accolades. He's a two-time All-Australian, came second in St Kilda's Best and Fairest in 2009 and third in 2010. Then drawn 2010 AFL Grand Final, Brendan finished second in the voting for the Nolan Smith Medal behind former teammate Lenny Hayes. The 27-year-old has played 205 games and booted 104 goals, and is a huge acquisition to the Essendon midfield. Another round of applause for Brendan. Welcome. I think it's the question that we all want to know. What attracted you to come to the Essendon Football Club?
I think, as you mentioned before, James, ultimately we all play football for success, and that's obviously to win premierships. So I believe that the Essendon Footy Club is in a great position to really compete over the next 5 to 6 years and hopefully longer. But I saw the club in a really good position, as I said, to really compete with the players that we do have and the younger talent coming through. I think the club's in a great position to do so.
And we've taken you halfway around the world. We've taken you to Colorado. We've taken you up to the Gold Coast. What have been your impressions of the footy club? You know, the people at the club and how it's set up, I suppose.
I've been asked a lot, obviously, how the move's been, and with respect to my former club and everything that's happened, I can honestly say it's been relatively smooth. It's at a club in the position I was at the end of the season. The thought of moving is obviously quite daunting, but the people within the footy club and David and Ian through the process and yourself has made the transition as easy as it can be. And as I said, it's been a really smooth transition. And to be honest, I stopped once the first day at Windy Hill and kind of looked around and thought, shit, where the hell am I? But I can confidently say I haven't done that since. And you know, it's been 7 or 8 weeks so far, and I've been loving every minute of it.
Well, just for everyone in the room, Brendan's contribution already has been huge, both on and off the field, and we're very excited to have you, mate. And welcome. Hopefully we're up here next year and after a better year, and you've had a great year. Well done, and we'll see you round 1 against Adelaide Crows.
Thank you.
So we go from one of the best players in the AFL competition being to free agency to our first pick in the AFL draft, and it's no secret that Joe Daniher, a huge Essendon family, a huge Essendon fan, and he would have, well, all the pundits say he's the best player in the draft, if not the best, the second best. We think he's the best, and we were able to pick him up number 6. Welcome, Joe Daniher. So Joe's a rover, and we'll be playing in that position. But mate, the Essendon Football Club is like a second home to you. What's your earliest memories of the club?
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, like I said, a second home, and you know, I grew up around the club with Dad playing here, and then my older brother having the chance to play here. And my first memory is Dad having the cleaning business and used to clean out the Windy Hill change rooms. And I remember meeting Dean Solomon one day, back when he had the big dreadlocks, and remembering how much of a beautiful person he was to me, and you know, just hoping that one day I could, you know, maybe wear the jumper.
And obviously your father's been a big impact on your life. Is it daunting playing in the number 6, or is it something you've wanted to do forever?
Yeah, I mean, I never really thought about wearing Dad's number until, you know, the opportunity arose with Angus pursuing, you know, other opportunities, and the number 6 was available, so I thought, you know, no better opportunity to wear it. But for me, it's just, you know, it's not really about the number. It's probably more exciting thing for the fans who saw Dad play and can maybe see me play in the same jumper.
All right. Well, welcome, Joe. Our next pick in the AFL draft was pick number 34 in the second round, and we'd been watching Jason Ashby from afar for quite a while. A dynamic halfback flanker, great intercept marker, someone who's light of frame, if I can say that, Jason, without being too rude, but a fantastic runner, got a terrific ability to kick the ball and rebound out of defence, and someone where we probably didn't think was going to be at pick 34, and we're very lucky to get in the draft. So welcome, Jason. I promise I won't call you Justin ever again. It's a good slip. There's been a lot of coaches talking to you over the last, 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah. What's the best bit of advice you've received from a coach or player since you've been there?
I think from Brendan, it was pretty brutally honest, I suppose. He just someone asked him in front of a meeting when I was there, and they said, you know, what's the best advice you can give to all these young boys? And he simply just said, you know, shut up and just work. That's all it was. So, you know, I think just all it is really hard work now and learning and, just improving as a player. So, I took that, something that was pretty good.
And how would you define success for yourself next year?
I don't have any target. I don't have something that I want to do, like play this amount of games or anything like that. I just want to improve at the quickest rate possible. Take on board every single bit of advice around the club and, get to know all the boys really well and build strong relationships that will help me in the future.
Oh, well, welcome to Essendon Football Club, Jason. Our next pick in the draft was pick 51, and we lost a few mature age players this year with Mark McVeigh, Henry Slattery, Sam Lonigan, Ricky Dyson, etc. moving out of the club, and we thought it was important to draft a couple of guys who are a little bit older, and we went for another Frankston, a product of Frankston this year via Box Hill, Dylan Van Noonan. Welcome, Dylan. Dylan's a tall defender with a very good leap, ability to read the play, and again, someone who we think can rebound off half-back for us, and we're expecting very, very big things. And he must be smart, because he's got a civil engineering degree, and you've got to be smart to get one of those. So welcome, mate. Now, I didn't read the question. I actually told everyone what sort of player you are, but why don't I ask you, what type of player are you?
I'm a tall defender that I reckon I'm quite agile and quite quick, and I can play on the smalls and the talls as well, so I think that's probably one of my greatest assets, and I think I'm a pretty good user coming out of the back line. I can make good decisions.
Sums it up pretty well, mate. That's a pretty good CV to play senior footy. It hasn't been the typical journey for you, though, has it? You didn't sort of burst out of the under-18 ranks and get picked up in the top 10 in the draft. It's taken a while.
Yeah, definitely. I came from Eastern Rangers and sort of didn't really have anyone looking at me at all, and so I went down to Box Hill and played there for 3 years in the reserves. Didn't get many games in the seniors, so I sort of struggled, and then took my opportunities down at Frankston and played every game there and shone, and here I am now.
Well, welcome, Dylan, and I'm sure with that sort of attitude it's going to be a long career for you at Essendon, so well done, mate. Our next pick in the draft was pick number 53, and we have picked a few lighter type bodies, and I think Marty weighs in at about 42 kilos, so he's one of our lighter guys. But this guy has got silky skills, moves beautifully, and we've got some really big raps on, and an incredible kick. So Marty Gleeson, welcome, recruit from North Ballarat, and Hef, he's from your territory, I think, down the Western Districts. But there is a dark side to Marty, and he's got a very, very strong Carlton connection in the family. So just go gentle on him. I know we love Carlton here at Essendon. Welcome, mate. What is that Carlton connection, mate?
Yeah, my uncle Adrian played for over 150 games back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I think he's on the board there at the moment. So
he's a pretty dirty player too. Having played on him, he used to whack you behind play.
Yeah, I heard a few stories about him, but yeah, can't say I'm the same.
You haven't got any of that in you?
Nah.
Oh, we'll teach you a little bit. That's all right. We'll teach you a bit of that. If not him, then who did you model your game on?
Yeah, I sort of like Andrew Mackey from Geelong. He's a bit of a smooth mover, uses the ball well, reads the play well, and yeah, good to watch. I often like to try and watch him when I got to see Geelong games. So yeah.
And Essendon, any Essendon connection? Did you like Essendon as a kid?
Oh, they were all right. Weren't one of my favourite teams, but nah, definitely my favourite team now.
Oh, they should be now. Welcome, Marty. Again, talking about mature age players and the guys we lost this year, we were after another mature age player, and Adrian Dorr, our recruiting manager, came up to me about 3 weeks before the draft and said, 4 weeks through, so we started training, and said, I'm going to do it to you again. I'm just going to lob a kid into training, and we'll see how we go. And I don't mind that, but sometimes he lobs kids in who are just no good and can't play. Luckily for us and luckily for Nick, this wasn't the case. And our pick at number 73 was Nick Comer. And welcome, Nick. Nick's from Perth. Played a lot of positions. He's played in the back line, the midfield. But already for us, we can see a guy who's going to be a very good forward line player for us, who can play high pressure in the forward line and play the modern game. And we're very excited about what we've seen. And I'm sure you'll be excited about Nick's haircut. So come on in, Nick. Hey, mate. Now, CEO Ian Robson, my hair gets a bit long sometimes. He's at me every week, when you get a haircut. Has he asked you that question yet?
No, not yet. No.
Well, I'm sure he will. When did you start to think that AFL footy was going to be a possibility for you?
When Essendon called me up, pretty much. Yeah, well, I didn't really think... I had a pretty good year this year, but yeah, when Essendon rang me up, pretty much, that's it.
And similar to Dylan, it's been a longer path for you, hasn't it? Can you talk us through the last 2 or 3 years of football for you?
Yep, I was playing locally, C grade, back in WA, and then I thought I probably should have a bit of a dip. So I went to a waffle club and played 2 years there, and then luckily Essendon contacted me, so now I'm here.
Oh, welcome, mate, and hopefully you've got a long career ahead of you. There's a bit of a story behind the next draft pick too. Mark Thompson, we had a big chat to Bomber about how we're going to run the process here, and we've changed a little bit about our recruiting and the way we recruit players. And it's been a 12-month process how we've done that. And typically we like to look at players, 3 months, 4 months out, and we go through the video and we watch them, we narrow it down. But Bomber, to pure Bomber way, always has one up his sleeve. And so as I was about to get in the car to drive to the airport before the draft this year, Bomber said, "You've got to see this kid play. He's the best Dustin Fletcher impersonation he's ever seen." And that's a pretty good rap, Dustin Fletcher impersonation. And that's Bomber had been watching Sean Gregory for probably 4 months, had him hidden up his sleeve, and Sean, that's why you're here. So welcome, mate. Sean's a local boy. Recruited from Calder, and his timing in the air and ability to get to the contest and spoil the contest is uncannily like Dustin Fletcher, and so is his height and his body weight when Dustin got there. So welcome, Sean. Well done. Now, did you ever play on Joey at training?
Yeah, a few times, like practice games. We used to play at training, so I'd always have to play on him.
And you were telling me today that he hasn't beaten you once, is that right?
No, it's a lie.
50-50. 50-50. That's not bad, because I saw Joey destroy a kid in WA at the championships. Now, the boys have already given you a very interesting nickname. What is that?
It's Stixie. You just can all know what that is, so I don't like it very much.
Well, I think that's why it's stuck, mate, because you don't like it.
Yeah, no one actually knows my name, it's just Stixie. So.
That's a footy club, mate. Welcome. Yeah. Hey, just has Fletch taken you under his wing? Has he looked after you?
He's talked to me a little bit the last few days, but not really.
All right.
I think I've got to go talk to him.
Yeah, Fletcher's pretty quiet. If you go and tap him on the shoulder, it'll be okay.
He's probably intimidated by me a little bit.
Welcome, mate. Welcome to the Essendon Football Club. Look, the last player we recruited this year, it's interesting. We got to the point in the draft and we weren't sure we were going to have another pick because Brent Prismal was still on our list, and Brent advised us that he wanted to go and try it for Port Adelaide and the Western Bulldogs. So luckily we had another pick, and we went back through all the tapes, and we noticed that we had a guy called Will Hams ranked. Was probably ranked about 25 on our list, and there's 85 picks in the draft. So this one slipped under everyone's guard, and even already at training, the way Will goes about approaching the contest and his use of the ball, we can't believe that we picked him up in the pre-season draft. So Will's from Gippsland, and welcome to the Essendon Football Club. And we're told that his brother grew after 18 another 6 centimetres. So we've got a bit of our fingers crossed it'll grow a couple more centimetres. Now I know the answer to this question, mate, but how did you find out that the Essendon you're going to be drafted by the Bombers?
Yeah, I guess I was just sitting at my mate's house the day before the draft and got a phone call from an unknown number, and luckily it was Hurdy on the phone saying, "What are you up to?" And so I was like, "Oh, just sitting around." And he goes, "Do you reckon you can come up to Melbourne? We want to draft you." So that's how I found out, and couldn't believe it.
And what did your mum do? That was the funniest part.
Oh yeah, I got on the phone to mum because I wasn't actually at home. I was about an hour and a half away from mum, so I got on the phone, and when I told her, she couldn't stop crying. It was about 5 minutes before I could get another word in. She was stoked.
That's good. And we seem to have a number of Gippsland boys playing here. Do you have a little group now, the Gippsland boys? And obviously Brendan and Hep will be leading that group.
No, not exactly, but the Gippy boys got around me. I've known Dice a little bit now, so no, he's been really good since I've come to the club and really welcomed me around. And BJ's been really good, and same as Willick, so it's been good.
That's good. Well, this is the class of 2012, our draft, and put your hands together for all our new recruits. Just while they're getting ready, if I can thank all our members for their support in 2012 and for your continued support in 2013. I think it's been mentioned before that we're in the most competitive game in the world. There is no game in the world with more restrictions on how to be successful. With so many teams in Melbourne, the club does a great job to provide a football department with the infrastructure and the finances we need to put together the team we have. And if you get a chance in the next 6 months or so, come out and have a look at the new High Performance Centre, because you'll be very proud of what the football club has put up for its players. It's incredible. I wouldn't have thought I know there's no other club in Australia, no other code in Australia that has a facility like ours, and I'm sure there's plenty of clubs who make a lot more money than ours around the world who have lesser facilities. So the club's doing a great job, and we hope as a coaching group and a playing group we can repay your faith and the club's faith in giving us this opportunity. Thank you, and we'll see you next year.